Can we hear each other now?
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, okay. Maybe they did change that. They said they were going to change the. We could still kind of talk to each other while the intro's going.
How about it?
And they just added. Oh wait, yeah. And they just added guest rooms. So now that you can have a guest come on, and then they can kind of sit there, and you can still chat with them, but they're not on the screen, which is pretty good.
That's high tech, dude.
It's fucking high tech.
High speed, low drag, dude.
Well, I'm sorry. Welcome everyone to the Wednesday Night Live show. We're back. Philip's running late, but he will be with us here shortly. But look who's down there. Someone we haven't seen in a while. Allie is joining us back. He's back.
Just Nick.
Yeah, just Nick.
He's back.
Oh yeah, Nick Orlando is joining us tonight, and yeah, he hasn't been around in a while. He's still our number one guest. He's still number one. I think he's been on the show the most. So yeah, you still have that title, Nick. Do you walk around telling people? You let people know that you are the number one guest of the Wednesday Night Live show.
You should.
I forgot. I have a shirt that says that, but I forgot it. I'm wearing this
that's the one I
tonight.
sent you, right?
Yeah.
The number one guest shirt.
Yeah, number one guest host of the Wednesday Night Live show. That's a lot of words on a shirt. We'll make it fit. Yeah, we are back, guys. We got a topic that I wanted to talk about, especially after reading Jim McDonald's article in Vaping 360. And that's why I kind of wanted to dig in a little bit and go through some of the pros and the cons of what took place with that last week. So last week's, and I noticed that no one else was talking about it. So I figured, you know what, we should dig in a little bit, share some of our opinions of why we think that number has gone down and vaping has gone up. So we're going to do that today, guys. But before we start that, let's say hello to Allie and find out what Allie's been doing for the last week.
I was sick. And now I'm just back to work. My son had a band competition this weekend, a band competition the weekend before. So we're just busy band mom life, but just working and trying to stay on top of all this crazy shit that's going on.
All right, don't laugh, but I need to know this information because has there ever been any fights at band against the other band like they have in football? No fights. Wow.
No. They're super polite. They compliment each other and stuff, even if they lose. Like, yeah.
Wow. Are you surprised by that, Nick?
A little bit. I would think it could get a little competitive and snippy.
Yeah, I can see the two trumpet guys going up against each other.
I've seen it at like soccer games and cheerleading and stuff. So why not, right?
Yeah, no, honestly, the band parents are worse than the band kids.
Yeah, that I believe.
They are like, I had one mom corner my son and say not to go out for section leader next year because her son deserved it. And I'm like, well, then you both try out and whoever gets it gets it.
Wow.
Like, that's who deserves it. Like, she doesn't get to take that opportunity away from you. I was hot. I'm like, yeah.
I can see Allie just strutting down the aisle. All right, God, we're going to go with, come on, camera. Don't start with me, camera. There you go. And Mr. Nick Orlando in his backyard, enjoying the sunshine, the good life of living in Florida. How's your week going,
man? I take it when I can get it. Last week of session, we've managed to finalize almost 2 bad bills that would have taken away preemption. So the other ones didn't even make it to the drafting piece. So there were probably 10 or 12 on that end that didn't even make it. So we're not counting those. We're just going to count the 2, add it to our record, and hopefully those 2 don't pop up this last week and get to our governor or anything. But as of right now, we're in a good place. So this week I'm home and I started today construction on a new building. So yeah.
Are you getting ready to open a new shop?
Yeah.
Nice. Oh, that's great. That's good. That's fun work. That's enjoyable work.
Yeah.
Your shops now, are your shops kind of, is it like I walk in this shop here and I walk in this shop and they're identical, or do you kind of
Yeah.
change them up a
No,
little
they're pretty
bit?
much the
No,
same.
you keep them identical.
No, they're
So if this guy
yeah,
goes to
yeah,
this store, he knows where that's going to be on what shelf. Oh, nice.
yeah. And we're all
Uh,
marketed the same, and our point system's the same across all 5. So yeah,
nice.
kind of the same
Nice.
stuff. I mean, you got to have a footprint, right? It helps. It helps for marketing. It helps for brand recognition. When people are in Inglewood that visit from, say, Tampa area, they know that when they go in there, they're going to have the same products available.
Yeah.
It's 2-hour
We do
ride,
the same
so
thing. Yeah.
we like to have that. Yeah.
You are a smart man, Mr. Nick Orlando.
People also
Smart.
like consistency, makes them feel good.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like, I mean, it's just a store. It's just like any other store. If I go into
Yeah.
Rayleigh's, I know milk is on aisle 1. If no matter what store I go to, that is owned by Rayleigh's, it's going to be on aisle 1. I like that. I like that. And how do you get? I have so many questions. How do you keep track? Do you go? Are you visiting all these stores as you're going during the
Yeah.
week, or? Oh, yeah, you're a good man. You're a good man.
Well, for the 60-day session, no, or if I'm hitting legislators, no.
Yeah.
But typically, yes, I try to hit the stores. If not, we do a Zoom call with all the leaders in the stores, so we're all on the same page for the week planning. But typically, yeah, we'll hit where one of my managers, like my operations or logistics manager, will go if I don't go. But yeah, I like to put my eyes on it, see how everybody's doing. And the clients like to see the owner. Let's face it, right? You love to see the owner interact. Hey, how you doing? How's your son? Blah blah blah. You get to know them, and they like that, right? I mean, it's like, I think when I started, I think the mindset was, I want a place like Cheers. And those of you that are old enough understand what Cheers was about. That's kind of what we geared toward. Like when you come in, everybody in there like knows who you are. Hey, it's and it's just kind of what we stuck with, and it seems to work.
Yeah. You give that customer that, not give them that feeling that you care, that you're there, you're part of their success. So you want them to succeed, and that's part of the of vaping. Our community is just each other helping each other. So it's good to see the owners that they're there, and they're not driving around their luxury automobiles, with the top down in the streets of Florida.
They're doing things like this for free, We talk to them about laws and stuff. I mean, that's the way you interact. I mean, you have to let people know. And if they hear it from somebody that is dialed in, they're much more appreciative, right?
I do want to be Norm. If I had to pick, Sam's a great person to be, but Sam had a lot of issues.
A lot of issues.
What about Cliff? You don't want to be Cliff?
No, Cliff's the guy you want to punch in the face.
He's saying he's stopping by my store. He's got bail money. What's Curtis saying?
Oh man, Allie.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's
guess what you get to guess what you get to do right now.
What?
You get to say hello to everybody in chat.
Get to say hello to everybody. Oh, yay. I'm excited. Okay, let me scroll. All right.
Hi, everybody in the chat.
There you go. The Lost World of JJ. Hey, Lost World of JJ. Dusty Country Road. Pam Spraggins. Hey, girl. Matthew Woodley. That's me. I don't count. Adam Tooney. Brendan Black. First time. Welcome to the show, first timer. We're so happy that you're here. Steve Vapes. He made it on time. Yes, we have been trolling Twitter together. Curtis. Nick, he's here. He doesn't count. The wee baby Seamus. Did I get that right? Though is in the chat too, and I believe that might be. Oh, and Peggy.
Peggy at E-Sig Source. Well, thank you everybody for joining us tonight. I like I said in the beginning, I thought this was a topic that we should talk about. I mean, it is some good stuff about this, and there's some bad stuff that may affect us. So we're going to kind of talk about the pros and cons of what took place, and I know, shake your head, no, there isn't, but there deep down, there. Just in the, we talked about it earlier, just in the title, how it was, that's what I'm talking about, because that's how people only see what they want to see.
Yep.
And when they read that article, even when I saw the article, I said to myself, the first thing, honest to God, when I saw the title of the article and started to read the article, the first thing I thought in my head was, how are they going to twist this to make
You
us
didn't see
look
the
bad?
original article though, right? The one that said smoking is down, but that might not be a good thing.
Yeah, I saw just two articles that I saw on that, but yeah, that's how I don't know if that's just how we are now, that we really can. Do you think we're like at a point where we can't ever think this is really great news, that we always have to assume there's something going on in the background that we're not seeing? Look at Nick smiling.
Don't make me get my tinfoil hat out. Come on.
No, I'm not talking about the conspiracy theories, but ourselves feeling like this battle has been going on for 12 years. A lot of us have been a big part of it. We've always told ourselves, yes, one step forward, two steps back. That's how it's always been for us. We'll take one step forward, and let me hang up on the scammer. And
You can answer it.
yeah, scammers. But that's how we've been. We've gotten some good news, and then like a week later, it's like all of a sudden we're not back where we were, but a little further back, it seems like. So I figured we talk a little bit about the topic and what does it mean for us. So I want to do the pros and cons. So let's start off with you, Allie. Some of the pros from this new statistics studies. What are some of the pros that come off the top of your head?
I mean, less people are not smoking. I mean, for fuck's sake, can we just say it? Not as many people are smoking. Like, what? I don't see a downside here. I don't see a downside whatsoever. Not as many people are smoking. That's the goal, right? This is something I think that should be celebrated. People should be excited about this. They should be happy about this. Public health should be happy that less people are smoking. It blows my mind that they're not. That they're saying, well, it might not be such a great thing because more people are vaping. I don't understand. I don't understand how they're taking such a huge thing. Smoking is a real big freaking problem. Like, how many people die per year? Less people smoking. Public health should be rejoicing. So I don't see anything bad other than the fact that we're taking more money away from tobacco, and essentially that's public health as well. We're taking money from them, so that's the problem.
Yeah, it's weird. I'm going to play devil's advocate here, but it's weird that exactly what you said. When it comes to smoking, it's like, okay, we don't care. It seems like they're saying we don't care about those people because they made that choice to smoke.
Right.
But
no one even talks about smoking anymore. Do you hear anybody talking about smoking? It's all vaping.
All vaping. What are some of the pros that you, for you, Nick, are seeing that article and reading those statistics?
Just as far as the headline, that's it.
Huh?
Less people smoking, just like Allie said. That's about it. That's where it stops.
All right. Well, I kind of took
I don't see outside of pros wise. I don't see a whole lot more to it because, like you said, John, in the beginning, I've been in this dealing with these products since 2008, right? And I haven't had a whole lot of good news, buddy. So when you see things like this, you're wondering, where's the train coming from? Which direction, right? You're preparing for it. What's happening next? Who's bringing the noise? Because it's coming, right? Unless they do, like Allie just said, less people are smoking. Public health win. Let's go.
Yeah.
I mean, you're always waiting for the next thing.
But I will say another positive thing is that more people are vaping. So that means that the messaging is falling on deaf ears, which I like to think that people are smart enough to do their own research, or maybe that we're just loud enough and talking to enough people. I think it's a combination of the both.
Right. That's what I took.
You got a very little voice saying there's more people vaping, but then you have the big voice on the other side saying vaping's killing kids and the PAVE moms are out there doing their thing. So yeah, more people are vaping, but the bigger voice is out there against us. And that's kind of the thing that I just have a hard time thinking anything's really positive with it. I mean, I love to hear that less people are smoking, period.
Right,
Mhm.
right.
That's
Well,
what I'm here for.
what I took from it
Right.
is a little bit of what Allie was talking about, and what I took from it is the general public. And now let's be honest, I'm gonna when I say the general public, I'm talking about the smoker, because we still haven't convinced that other group yet that this is a better product, this is harm reduction. But for me, what I took from that is I noticed that they have noticed the relentless attacks towards vaping and with Evali and everything else that has been going on. And I've talked about this before on the show, but even prior to Evali, our numbers kept going up. They kept going up and they kept going up. We had that I hate saying little, it was a pretty big deal, Evali, and it kind of almost killed this industry. But
Yeah.
I think that those people that we had lost, I've gotten that message, and I think it's a lot to do, not just us three here, but
Yeah.
everybody in our community getting back to sharing their stories, letting people know what's going on, and having them realize that here they were trying to ban something that is obviously working because the numbers continue to grow, and there's very little to none attack towards cigarettes. And I think that kind of drew back some of those people that we lost from you, Allie.
Yeah.
To me, that's something I think is one of the pros. And I think it's a great thing because I think for us, it shows that we are getting our message out to the smoker, not the ex-smoker yet, I'm sorry, not the non-smoker yet, but I think we're getting our message back again to those smokers. Hey, come back, give this another try. It is safer. Forget about it. They realized that Evali was all bullshit, and I think it drew some of those people back.
Now,
Yeah, I
John,
can see that.
you're right. I mean,
Yeah.
that's been happening for a while now. People have been coming back, I think, and Ali will agree. On the retail side, you've seen them come back. Obviously, it's not due to this article, but over time, you've seen them start coming back and maybe talking about questions. But I don't see the cultivation in gaining the numbers that we used to gain, where we had 10 quitters a week or something. We're not there yet, right?
No.
Yeah.
We
No,
still
we're
have
not, but
that
I think it's too
personnel.
like the way they feel. Like I had somebody reach out to me, I helped quit over 10 years ago. She went back to smoking cigarettes and she vaped for like 5 years. And she messaged me on Facebook and she said, I've been embarrassed to reach out to you, but I'm proud to tell you. And I had no clue because I haven't been in a retail store in years.
Yeah.
That, I've gone back to vaping again. And I'm like, when did you stop? Like, and she said, I was so scared. I was so afraid. And she goes, but then I realized my health is getting worse again. And I'm like, well, that's the proof right there. Former smokers that started vaping and felt better, then got scared by this, went back to smoking, and then came back eventually because they actually could physically feel the difference.
Yeah.
They saw that
Yeah.
benefit
Mhm.
on the other side.
Yeah. Yeah. I
It's just sad that we haven't experienced the people who haven't seen that yet have already been turned off by it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that Evali just crushed us. We were making moves in the right direction in tobacco harm reduction. We got crushed as an industry and as advocates for this product to get everybody off combustible tobacco. It's been a really hard time. Thankfully, we have our clients that go out and tell people the benefits of it, and they may come in and ask. But I'm not seeing the numbers that I used to.
Yeah.
I'm seeing clients from other places, other retailers, or somebody that bought something in, say, a convenience store or gas station, come into the store and want a better product, such as a open system. But I'm not seeing that first initial smoker walk in the door and say, hey, you're the expert. How do I quit smoking? Like I used to. I still see some, but not that number that I am used to seeing.
Right.
And that's it's not there yet.
Yeah, I think that number is going to take a while to change, but for me, to me, I can't help but think that for us, we are actually getting our message out there. The second pro maybe is a pro. Don't get mad at me here. The simplicity and accessibility of disposable devices. You think that has a little bit to do with some of those people coming back and being successful with? Don't shake your head. It's a factor. It is a factor. Let's be honest. Accessibility And the ease, the simplicity of using a disposable device is a lot easier than grabbing this. So do you feel that that kind of contributes to
I think the
that higher number?
initiation, John, the
Huh?
initiation is there.
Yeah.
The introduction initiation of the disposable in a convenience store, gas station setting, or smoke shop, whatever. But once they come to us, it's
Yeah.
hey, have you
A
seen
lot of
this? It's
people don't
less
want to do it
cost
either because
effective.
they're
or more cost
intimidated
effective.
by it. They're like, that just looks hard to do.
Right, you're right. I'm saying that part that part the new. Let's just assume that I'm not sure what the numbers are because they didn't do the numbers and show how many of those new vapors are actually new to it. But I'm going to go on the assumption that I'm gonna say that a majority of that number that increased are newer vapors. And I think having that simplicity of being able to grab a device and know I don't have to fill this thing up. I don't have to charge it. I don't have to do anything with it. Simply have to take in air or vapor. That's it. Inhale. I have a feeling that plus our message, it's a pro. To me, it's a pro because I know we don't want convenience stores to be part of the vape experience, but we can't help that. They're there, and they're everywhere. And this, let's be honest, the guy that's that's how I was standing in line. I saw it. And I said, "What the fuck? Let's try it." So
Yeah.
and I think a lot of people are that, and I think the ease of knowing that okay, Volley was bullshit. We all know how it is. Maybe now that guy that's standing in the line that's looking at them and going, "That's gonna fucking kill you," instead is going to say, "Hey, you know what? Let me give that a try."
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think anybody who's not smoking, regardless of if it's disposables or advocacy or whatever it is that got them there, I'm just glad they're there. That's the whole reason that we do any of this.
Yeah.
So I think it's great that less people are smoking. I don't think it's great for, how it's being portrayed. And it just goes to show you that, no matter how much science comes out, they're still sticking to this bullshit story. And it's hard to see that. It's hard to see something like this come out and it not be celebrated.
Yeah. You guys out in chat there, throw me some pros. I want to hear what you guys have to say. What are some of the pros from this, from this article and this new study and showing that vaping has increased? So share them with us. Any other pros you can think of, Allie? I know it's tough. It's tough because we're just bred to be negative all the time because that's what we're
less
fighting.
people dying of horrible diseases from smoking, people living longer lives. I mean, there's a lot of positives to see less people smoking. And regardless if they were vapors and went back to smoking and came back again, it doesn't matter as long as they found their way to some kind of harm reduction that gets them off of cigarettes. I think the whole article's a positive other than the bullshit that they threw in there. And I mean, more people vaping isn't a bad thing. It's just, I think that we just need to get to a point where they're just start being honest, but I could also wait for hell to freeze over. So either way.
Allie's going to be that one person that brings the slushy into hell. Can I bring this in here?
I'm going to be like 95. Like, I told you, motherfuckers.
You guys got a slushy machine here?
Oh, God.
I'm kind of curious with both of you guys in the retail end of it. Has anyone come into the shop talking about this article? I wonder why, though. Maybe because it wasn't put out there in any major news articles.
They're still talking about popcorn lung.
Yeah. I would, I get it, but it's still, it doesn't make any. I said when I read that article, I assumed but one of the networks was going to pick it up, one of them, and I guess CNN picked up a little piece of it, but kind of shit on it too, as we knew they would.
Right.
And I think who's the other one? Fox picked up on it a little bit. I think CNN, Fox, and an AP reporter or somebody kind of changed it all up.
Yeah,
but
you had some local news pick it up. We had some
Yeah.
local channels pick it up, but again, nobody's
Yeah.
But
mentioned
not
it. It's-
also not portraying it in a great light that they're now vaping. Everybody that I saw that picked it up wasn't portraying this is great. They're switching to harm reduction. They're saying, oh, but hold on, they're vaping
Right.
now.
the first part, right? Adult smoking rate drops, but vaping climbs. Not and vaping climbs, but vaping climbs.
But vaping
That's the way I read it.
Yeah. The one I saw said, this might not be a good thing. And I'm like, what?
In quotation marks, right? Yeah, no, I'm trying. I really, guys, you guys are, there's Mr. Phillip. Phillip, welcome to the show.
I am late, and
you have been punished. You will be punished after the show.
I need to be taken out back for a good ass kicking, and I want everyone to know that, Mr. Nick. It's a pleasure to see you, sir.
We've changed the time to 6:30 now, so you'll be on time.
Phillip will be waterboarded. Phillip will be waterboarded after.
You changed the time of the show because I am never.
No, we're just
I'm
telling
less
you
than
it's
punctual.
Phillip,
That's so cool. That's so nice of you.
I'm just gonna start lying.
I heard pay cut. I heard pay cut. That's all I'm saying. I heard pay cut.
I'm gonna lie to Phillip and say the show starts at 3:30.
I would make excuses, but that is juvenile, and I don't do that. My punctuality pin has been forfeited. Thank you very much. We should.
All right. Well, Phillip, we have been talking about some of the positive parts of this article, and that adult smoking rates have dropped and vaping has climbed. Throw me some positives. Give me some positives to that story and those statistics.
Are you asking for my take on the positives of smoking and all-around nicotine use being at an all-time low?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I don't understand the question.
Exactly.
There are so many things to celebrate about this, and just because they're not being celebrated doesn't mean they shouldn't be. That said, I have very little on the negative side to present here. What do I think we can do to help the world see this in the right light? I don't know. I think it might help to start thinking about things in terms of people rather than statistics. Statistics are great. It's important to have percentages. It's important to know what the numbers are. But when you are constantly giving people percentages, especially lawmakers in this state and most any other, they're going to snooze. They're not going to see what we see, and that is people aren't killing themselves and paying for it. They're paying less and living healthier, longer lives. And I think that's getting missed in the translation. And it's not, I am not downplaying the stats. The data is important. But I think there should always be someone there to translate this into a story that can be better understood.
Yeah, well, we talked about it earlier before before you jumped in was some of the positives, and one of the ones that we mentioned was the fact that we feel that our message is getting to the smoker, that this is a better alternative. So to you, that wouldn't that be a positive on our end? That our message is getting out there to those smokers that we may have lost during a valley. They're actually seeing and contributing and being part of that number increasing.
That is every bit as important as getting the message to the people who are making laws regulating these products. That's the most important thing. Yeah. If more smokers see this for what it is, a way to enjoy a product without all of the deadly side effects, instead of, let's just say, yes, if we can educate them as to what it is that tobacco harm, whether it be vaping, nicotine pouches, whatever, if we can educate them, everything else will fall into place.
Do you contribute these higher numbers? And this is something Allie laughed, but I think it's a part of it. But do you contribute some of this increase in numbers because of the simplicity and accessibility of disposable devices?
There's no
I
question
just
about
laughed
it.
because you were saying good things
Oh
about
no!
disposables.
Yeah.
No, you don't have to appreciate. Listen, disposables were going to happen. It was going no matter what. It's a ridiculous thing to try and place blame on why disposables are here. And I think that people should how's this? Adults should use what they want. They can
Right.
buy what they want instead of cigarettes. Let them choose, give them choices. And frankly, my mother, I think I might have mentioned this, my mother, who has just been, I've probably given her every kind of AIO pod, whatever in the world. And she's actually using a peach I lost Mary. That's the one after 10 plus years of me trying to get her to stop. That's what she's using. And it occurred to me that there's something about vaping and vaping hardware and the whole experience. There's a certain techie allure to it. And most people like myself, I'm a nerd when it comes to electronics and stereos and things of that nature and computers, whatever. I apologize for nothing. But those who just, my mother's is God, Mom, how old are you? 77. She is of a generation that has a toaster. You press a button and it toasts. Give her something any more complex than a lighter and a cigarette, and they're not going to be interested. You have to give them something with the simplicity, and you have to make it equally satisfying. And even, let's just say there is a market for disposables. I will need everyone to know that I'm very much in favor of having some sort of deposit system where we can have these things recycled. But I don't want to go on and just rant about what the FDA has caused or the unintended consequences of all that's going on. But
I was going to say, if there's no black market, then we could focus on something like that. But all of our efforts are focused
when we actually have proper regulation.
Right.
I absolutely agree. In the meantime, I think cigarettes are still butts are still the most prolific pollution in the ocean. I'm not sure. You fact check me on that.
Any other positives that you can come up with, Phillip, for the article and the statistics?
Unpopular opinion. Kids who are the two kids that I love like they are my own are one's heading to med school. The other one is in undergrad. They're both great. One of them vaped, doesn't vape anymore, lost interest. None of them are smoking. None of them. And however you want to, it's very difficult to put this in a way that people who are convinced about the...
Say it, Phil. Say it, Phil. Kids vape, so what?
Just say it. Yeah, just say it.
Just say it.
I am so happy that kids, teenagers, are not smoking goddamn cigarettes. How's that?
There you go.
That's right.
That's right.
It's okay to say it. Yeah, no, I was trying to, what I was trying to do is I was trying to get what the pros are for us as a community, as an industry, due to this article. How does this article benefit us as a community and an industry? So that's where I was going with this. And cons, we could do cons right now, and I'm sure you guys, there's never be an ending list of cons that we're going to have, because that's how we've just been bred to be the last 12 years. So cons, Allie, how are they going to use this against us?
Well, obviously public health wants big tobacco to win. So that's a con because, you know, the FDA's funding was like 80 something percent comes from user fees and everything. I mean, where do you think those user fees are coming from? So, you know, I just, I mean, tobacco settlement agreement, states not getting as much money. They want less people vaping, more people smoking, so they can get that money, so they're not in debt and they don't owe money, because a lot of them take in money against that agreement. So a lot of them could be in debt if they don't hit a certain goal. So I think that anytime we get a win, ultimately it ends up, they try to end up making it a loss for us.
One step forward, two steps back.
Right.
I kind of want to switch back over to the pros for a second, but if it were up to you, Phillip, how would you try to use that to get the non-smoker to care?
Good question. Long answer. Every non-smoker knows someone, however many degrees of separation, who's still smoking. I think Jacob was right. I think it's a criminal justice issue. I also think it's important that people understand that if one adult right is denied, others are sure to follow. But mostly, I think that, I hate to say this, but we could stand to mix it up a little bit and speak to a greater problem of, like we talked about today, the caffeine, just as deadly as cigarettes. Wow, my head is still.
That article from today, like now they're trying to take away. I'm like, now they have gone too far. You cannot take my coffee.
I've just been joking about that for years, that they would eventually, it was going to take some senator to wake up one morning and go and see his son's ATM bill and go, holy fuck, how much are you spending at Starbucks?
As far as I'm concerned, the caffeine is not quite working like it used to. So they've already done something to corrupt what I need.
Yeah.
I need.
Yeah. I mean, it's never going to end. As we give up flavors. We give up flavors. What's next? I mean, that's how I want the non-smoker to look at it. Don't look at it. Don't look at it that I'm vaping. Don't look at it that I'm a smoker. Look at it that the fact that they're telling me as an adult that I can't have.
I have to ask you something. How long in life are we interested in living that is joyless and without any true? How much fun are we interested in foregoing just to make sure that we can be absolutely safe from any possible risk in a bubble? Like freaks. I'm really just kind of appalled at.
But we're not, because we're going to be still smoking if they had their way. So we wouldn't be healthier.
Well, I also somebody's going to invent a cure for cancer 20 years from now.
Smoking. I believe prohibition in any way.
Because as soon as we start talking about the smoking bans, and it's just, I'll have to refer back to Jacob Greer. And I found a book the other day that Jim and I were referencing, The Pleasure Police. It's not a great book, but I think that's where I first heard about Ralph Nader and the Public Citizen Research Group. Anyway, you have to think about all the different ways in which we are insulating ourselves from things that are pleasurable because of, in many cases, extraordinarily overstated, exaggerated risks. We have those things that are important. Like one of my main goals, just a life motto, is I have less than 10 things in my life that I absolutely must take care of, responsibility. If I'm looking at number 11, I've overextended myself, if that makes any sense. If we are going to, and yes, the internet gives everyone access to some of the worst information ever presented on the planet. Let's face it. But I also think that we have to really think about what it is that we are doing. Are we doing things that are important? Are we just howling at the moon and sucking all the life out of life? I think to an extent it started. A lot of things changed after 9/11, let's put it that way. But this is about, I think, the right that was, well, the liberties that were taken by.
I've never seen Phillip so stumped.
No, the liberties that were taken by tobacco control in this country when tobacco companies lied, they've gone from being appropriate to over stepping the line to being, it's a cult of just, yes, it is a ideological cult, and it's very hard to talk about certain things. Like if I start off talking to someone about smoking and vaping with the Miracle in Helena, Montana, they're gonna look at me like, what? Who? Yeah, they're gonna think I'm a nut.
Yeah.
So and that's something that it still baffles me. But I really do think that we have to take a good hard look at all the different ways we're policing ourselves and what we can and cannot do as adults, and think really hard about whether or not you want to live to be 110 and just exist as a bland, joyless, I don't know, teetotaling moron. It just doesn't make sense to me.
I want to live as long. I want to live to the point where one of my kids has to change my diaper so I can just go, see, that's what it's like.
Do stepchildren, are they obliged
it's
to
called
change
payback.
to depend?
Payback.
I'm trying to do,
well, let me ask Nick, as a store owner, what are the cons that you think will be used that you're going to see here down the road?
From this article?
Yeah, to this article.
Most of my clients, like we discussed earlier, John, they haven't seen this article. When things like a volley hit, I mean, that's when we really see the impact. But when things like this get spit out there, it's really not a big deal. And I'm just being honest, because the clients that I have, most of the time will ask questions if they see an article that they're concerned about, and we'll explain what it is.
Well, I'm not talking about your customers now. I'm talking about the non-smoker. Let's be honest, the non-smoker is probably more likely to have seen this article than the vapor. Let's be honest. That's truthful.
Wait, you mean the non-vapor that is smoker?
The non-vapor, the non-smoker is more likely to have read this article than the vapor and the smoker. I can guarantee that.
Well, I don't think it's going to have an impact then whether it is a non-smoker or a vapor, because I think those two, the non-smoker is pretty much not going to care. They're going to brush it away. And the current vapor is going to either come in and talk about it, and we're going to explain to them what this all means, like we do whenever there's bad bills or anything like that. But my concern is the person who wants to convert, right? And they're not going to probably see this article. And if they do, I don't think it's going to have that big of an impact. I just don't think. I mean, the impact was several years ago. Unless they come out and spin this thing crazy out of control, which that could happen. Because again, I replace that the and I put but in there. Adult smoking rate drops, but vaping climbs, because that's just me. But if they see it as but, then we'll have issues. But at this point, I don't see a whole lot of issues. I mean, from a retail standpoint, I don't see the big impact yet. I'm more in fear of, if it doesn't work, what are they going to come out with next, right?
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, Allie. Were you going to say something, or was that?
Well, I think that's something I was thinking about too, because, in all honesty, they see more people are vaping, less people are smoking, and they clearly don't want that to happen. So what's the next, epidemic that's going to, happen to push people again away, or, have people come so far since the Valley that it won't be as effective as last time.
And that's what we've been trained to do, is look 2 steps out, right? I mean,
yep.
it's not what we see today. It's where's it's going. What path is this going to take? And how can we better prepare for it? I mean, and that's just the way I approach things. I don't know if everybody does, but when I see things like this, it's like, okay, where's it going from here? What is this is block number one.
Yep.
Are they going to blow this thing up even further? Is it the pave moms? Who is it, right? Where do we go with it?
Probably going to be a joint effort, I'd say.
The echo chamber, you know,
They'll have a dinner. They'll have a dinner first, a
folks in
meeting.
the echo chamber aren't reading this and they don't care. And we can scream numbers and percentages all we want, but
But yeah, there are certain things that only time will cure. I think you're right about that.
Yep,
but I also see a certain amount. Also, I have to apologize to everyone that I actually engaged with to hear Turk today, and I am just so ashamed of myself. That said, the engagement that we should really be very choosy about who it is that we speak to on this issue, because frankly, to try and have a sane conversation about this with the likes of Dorian or Meredith it's not going to happen. So we need to look for people who we can actually have a fruitful discussion with, as opposed to those who are dead set against what it is that they already have made up their mind about. And that's where I think we have a lot of untapped resources in the greater harm reduction community.
Yeah. Well, I just feel like we're always in this situation where we feel like we always talk about it. We're just in our bubble, and here is an article that could benefit this community industry, and yet
Are you still referencing the Reason article?
No, I'm talking about the
No.
article itself. And to me, just talking to you three, obviously there's just, you feel there's nothing there that can be done. And that's how this industry and community has been for the last 12 years. This is an opportunity to share some information with the outside non-smoker, the ability that this vaping has increased every year since the beginning. But we've been so trained, so I don't even know what the right word to use, but semi-depressed, and we just don't want to. We just don't feel like we're at a point now that no matter what comes out, whether it's positive or negative with us, we just can't seem to make that a win for us with that outside source, with those people that are non-smokers. And let's be honest, without we already seen what vapors can do. And I'm not going to shit on any vapors that are out there, and not the people that are in this chat, but they show up to meetings. They fill out the paperwork. They go to CASA. They do all these things. There are a group of us that do that stuff all the time. And then there's a group that's just like, fuck it, I got my shit, I don't care. To me, if we don't get the non-smoker to be on our side, we will never ever win this battle, ever. And that's why
I don't even
this
see
article
it
to
as
me,
sides. I see it as those who understand what this is, and those who simply don't understand. And of course, there are those who will deny. But I think there are 99% of the people out there that they don't have an opinion about this, and mostly they're probably exhausted listening to it. I know they're exhausted listening to me. They want me to shut the hell up, which is,
too bad.
But there is. I think it's important that we do talk about what the right approach is to speak with them about vaping and tobacco harm reduction, because we can do better. We have been keeping it within. We've been talking about, the science and, how people are completely nuts and misinformation, all that kind of stuff. What we're not talking to anyone. We need to speak to, and we need to be very.
You don't feel sad that you can come up with more cons to this story than you can find out about pros to it? Don't you find that odd that us four here can come up with more cons than positives for this article?
We have PTSD, John.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
Confirm.
That's what's happened to us the last 12 years. We just cannot take a moment to enjoy something and look at it as a positive and try to make that positive work for us. Here is a positive that's sitting right there.
Is anybody in the chat seeing anything positive?
I think we're ready. We're just waiting for the
No,
next
they all have PSD
attack.
I
reckon
I'm
I
an
feel
optimist.
all right.
I'm an optimist. I have always been an optimist.
You're like,
So-
oh shit, more people are vaping.
Yeah,
What's coming
yeah.
next?
So to me, like I read that and yeah, at first I did think, okay, how's the FDA going to use this against us? I can't help that. That's the first fucking thing that came up in my mind. Yes, this is a positive thing. Smokers are quitting. They're moving over to vaping. I should be joyful. But the first thing, yes, in my head was, how's the FDA and parents of vaping and tobacco-free kids, how are they going to use this against us? That's the first thing. And I shouldn't be doing that. And that's what I'm trying to get at with this.
Well,
John, we're not going to save you. We're not going to save you, buddy.
You're going
it's
to
hard not
pull
to
me
with
out of
every-
I'm in the deep end of your pool, Nick.
No.
Pull me out.
But every single article, other than ones that
Yeah.
are written by people we know, were
Yeah.
not good. They were not
Yeah.
happy about this. So of course, that's the first thing that we saw.
All right, here's something that I have to say that's really not going to land well. Yeah, continuously.
Hold on. You're going to say something bad?
Yeah,
Hold on.
yeah, I know.
Let me put you over
And
here.
what's up?
Let me put
Continuously
you over here.
bitching about Bloomberg is not helping.
Yeah.
It's not helping.
That lands very well.
There you go.
Talking
and
center.
Bloom bucks and who
Front and
funds you and
center.
all that kind of crap. That sounds familiar. And you know what? It sounds like
Oh, beating that drum. Didn't do
We need
anything
to
before.
stop.
It's not doing anything now.
we need to stop sounding like goddamn fringe conspiracy theorists. And yes, everyone in the world, let's just say people who understand Mike, we should talk about, how he was in favor of banning sugar and all that kind of crap. We all know that. But when, like, for example, on Twitter, which is of Fickle Mistress, that platform, when you write something about bloom bucks and all that kind of stuff, if you have a lot of followers who are not necessarily aware of any of this and don't vape, don't smoke, you sound like an asshole. And it doesn't, nobody really likes Mike Bloomberg that much, I don't think. So let's not, that part is done. We know about who is funding and who is directing the funding to malign vaping and tobacco harm reduction. We know that. But the money that they have is, there will always be money to, throw to ban stuff. What we need to do is continue talking about why it's absolutely nuts to ban these things instead of who's funding the effort to ban them. Because we waste a lot of time and energy pointing out who's doing who and why, that kind of thing. What the consequences are matter. Now I'm going to have a drink.
Yeah, I was going to say, because I in my head, I was counting, I think you said Bloomberg about 7 times. That's 7 shots now.
It's a good thing I wasn't looking in the mirror. That wouldn't have ended well.
Oh. So you're saying we shouldn't even bring him up in conversation anymore on Twitter?
No. Bringing him up in every Twitter post.
No, not in everyone.
I think to mention him in articles as the the benefactor of all of these misplaced efforts, I think that's important. But once is enough, and I think that most people will understand. We have to first explain to people why it's important that these products remain available and accessible, and adults are saving their own lives by making this switch, and then we can discuss more about who is continuing. Because if you show something to save lives and you do it in a systematic, logical way, it won't matter who's funding their imminent death. It's not going to matter. All the money in the world won't defeat a truly decent and life-saving purpose. How's that?
Your thoughts, Nick?
100% spot on. I mean, look, we haven't been able to outfund them in forever. So if you're not going to put up, then shut up. It's that simple, right? I mean, you're going to throw out there that Bloomberg's got all this money and he's fighting us and he's such a mean man and all that crap. What are we going to do about it? We can sit here and cry and say he's a bad guy and all that, but at the end of the day, it's not doing shit. So do what you want, but I think that's what Phillip's saying is it's okay. We know who's funding it, and those people in your audience that really don't know don't care. So let's focus on our audience and let's try to get the positive stuff out that vaping does save lives and vaping is helpful in tobacco harm reduction. And people are using vapor products to get off combustible tobacco. And combustible tobacco is bad and it kills people and all that. Let's stick to that. Don't overload people with Bloomberg's a bad man. It just doesn't work anymore. I mean, we've been beating that drum. We can pick, there's.
Can we say evil? Can we say evil man? Would that help?
Say whatever you want. It's just, we need to change our messaging, and we need to change public optics. However that is, we need to change public optics, and that takes funding. And our industry is just too tired and too not wanting to fund anything. So we can't fight the big boys, but we can be honest and truthful in the products that we use and we choose to use as adults to keep us off combustible tobacco. And that's it. And outside of that, don't go poking people and just spewing stuff because you see it and it looks cool. It just doesn't do good. Know your audience. What are you doing?
Nick, it is so good to hear and see you.
I was trying to poke you, Nick. Not touching you, not touching you, not touching you.
What is John doing?
Play that back. That was a really good point.
Well, I think even with the funding, do you think even the major networks would even run half the stuff that we want them to run? Even if
no, they won't.
I believe. Wait a minute now. I think if we had the money,
if you're in Florida, it's different.
Billions of dollars, we could pay them to run what we need.
I mean, if it was the Cali Vapes Journalism School and not the Bloomberg Journalism School, we could get them to run.
Of course. I mean, we got some positive television commercials here in Florida 2 years ago.
Yeah.
But we paid for it, right? You got to pay
no, you have to
things.
pay for it. But there are a lot of journalists that will report half-assed stories consistently about the stuff that's going on and then not want to publish any of the stuff that we try to put out into the world, won't get picked up, get passed over by everybody. So
we have not been established as credible yet, Ali. That's why we haven't had that long-term relationship where we're constantly paying, right?
Yeah.
A commercial you can pay for, but to have those relationships, you've got to consistently fund, which Mr. Bloomberg does is consistently fund, and it's like a machine, right?
Yeah.
Like a big machine. And if have already started that, it's already too late. And that's just being real.
Let's
it's like going into a legislative process where you don't have a lobbyist, and all of a sudden you pick one up because there's a bad bill. And you go, hey, look at us, we're here. Well, who the hell are you? We haven't funded a damn thing.
Right.
We don't know you.
Well, Jeffrey, I mean, you don't have to go to Harvard. You don't have to be a Yale graduate. You don't have to be a scientist or a doctor to realize that these numbers are increasing every year. What's going on? Why is this major attack? Why do countries like Australia are banning and having prescription models, but yet you can go to any convenience store and buy a pack of cigarettes? If nicotine is such a big fucking problem, I mean, at some point in time, whether you're involved in this community or not, or just a regular Joe Blow out in the street, I mean, something's got to kick in and say to yourself, well, why is the fucking government so worried about this product? And where's the concern for cigarettes. If cigarettes are such a big problem, why are you not taxing? Or no, I'm sorry, they love taxing it, but why are they not having a prescription model for fucking
Don't make fun of
cigarettes?
Australia, John.
Yeah.
They're already on their
model.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. I mean, to me, how someone not say to themselves, "What the fuck's going on here? Why are cigarettes still on the shelf?" And yet here we're focusing all our attention. And let's, even if you did the math, how many smokers are there in the United States, and how many vapors are there? Would you
Why does
want?
it say a 12-year-old can use patches? Why does it say that?
Yeah. I mean, if you take all the smokers that were here, that's a larger number than what there are that are actually vaping. As a politician or anyone in the health field, I would want to attack that group first. I would want to do whatever it took to take cigarettes away from those people.
So recently in our session, I've had those conversations, right? And I'm finding more and more people in the lawmaking circle saying, you're adults. If you choose to smoke, smoke. If you choose to vape, vape. Who gives a damn? Do what you want. You're an adult. Now, that piece I like, and then it's up to us to say, maybe you should try vaping. If you're smoking, try vaping. You'll stay alive longer and still get your nicotine. But that messaging, it kind of set me back a little bit. We're sitting in an office with a representative, and I was talking to him about tobacco harm reduction and vaping and and watch out for the preemption bill. And he goes, I got to tell you something, Nick. I don't care. I was like, what? He said, at the end of the day, you guys are adults. You should be able to make your own choice. If you choose to drink, smoke weed, whatever the hell you want to do, you're adults. You go out and do it.
Yeah.
I don't want to say smoking's bad, vaping's bad, or anything's bad. At the end of the day, you're adults, make a choice.
Yeah.
And you make your choice and you live by it. You live with the consequences of that choice.
Right.
And that's just the way it is. And I took it wrong at first because he said, I don't give a damn if people are dying from smoking. It's a choice they make. But I thought about it. And I think that's the right mindset. And then our goal then should be, which has always been, to go out and say to people who are smoking, look, when I'm in the smoking section with my vape, and they're asking me about, oh, that's just as bad. No, it gives me an opportunity to educate them, right? We need to get back to those basics. And I love now that he said that, but it kind of hit me at first. He's like, I don't give a damn if they smoke. I was like, wait, what the hell do you mean? He's like, I don't save people's lives. I'm an ex-Coast Guard. I'm retired, and I don't give a damn. If they don't want to save themselves, what the hell do I care? They're adults.
Right.
You've led the coolest life, I have to say. You really have, and I think you're absolutely right. I learned a lot last week at the Alabama State House meeting, and one of the things that Greg was very adamant about, that he's right about, is our state lawmakers don't get calls from their constituents all the time. They don't. And all it takes is a well-placed call about a bill to make an impression, even an impression on those who are dead set against vaping, etc. Unfortunately, in the case of last week, I think we were a little bit disadvantaged in terms of how Alabama passed a synthetic nic ban during the pandemic, which was, well, let's just say it was a little bit under the radar. But I think Greg's absolutely right. These are not like members of Congress with staffers or senators. These are people who are in, Alabama or Florida. They don't hear from their constituents some days at all. They hear about a bunch. They don't hear enough from us, but they also need to hear from us in the right tone. And I wanted to be there this morning, and I don't know how the vote went, but being there and speaking as a consumer, as someone who just feels compelled to tell people, look, please think about what you're doing in terms of restricting or further restricting products that are already age restricted.
Right.
That helped a lot of people like me. And in Alabama, we still have 17% adult smoking rate. I think 17, which is down from, I think, 21% in 2019. The point is, we're doing better, but we are still way above the national average. And I kind of feel, I think it's unfortunate that let's just say that I am a paying member of the Breathe Easier Alliance of Alabama. I'm not a board member. I have my own life, and if I was asked, I would have gone sooner. I should have gone sooner. But I do make those calls when I'm able to, and I think that, I mean, Nick, you know these things in and out. You know, Florida spoke through. You guys, Tennessee, you guys have done an amazing job. And you know what I'm talking about. It's just the right message at the right time, and perhaps speaking a little bit more to the importance of adult choices and the safer option, and less about, you know, my business. It's a difficult message, and I do care about vape shops being able to carry things that actually that people actually might want. I also think we need to speak about harm reduction first, and then bottom line after.
And Phil, you know, you're hitting it right? Because I think you hit the nail on the head, Philip. In the beginning, you said, you know, they just need a call, and you guys are the people that put them in those seats. And they look at us differently as business owners, right? Because we're a stakeholder. But if a constituent is merely a consumer, which I am also a consumer, but if you speak up and you put them in that seat, it speaks volumes to them. But you need like numbers to where it's just a little call. Hey, I just want you to know I voted for you. I want to thank you, but there's this bill that concerns me. I use these products to get off combustible tobacco, and I'd like you to vote this way on the bill. That's it. But they need to like have that in their ear. It doesn't need to be you know, vaping's the best. It saved my life. Blah blah blah. I'm a grandpa. I'm a, you know, whatever. But just that little conversation, and multiple, right? Several of those phone calls go so much further than me going to a state house and talking, because they know I'm a stakeholder.
Right. Because it's not that, I think Peggy's right. It's not that we do this for the money. Not that I'm an owner. I'm just an employee. But it's a different impact to somebody in that position if it's just a constituent that has survived or quit smoking by using the product, then it's somebody who has something in their eyes to gain by killing the bill, like as far as monetarily. So I think it's not that we do this for the money. It's just that we're looked at differently.
Yeah. I mean, you got into it because you saw how well it worked for you. You could do anything you wanted. You could go work in any business or any environment you wanted to. You chose that one because the benefits of vaping and what it did for you. Right. I mean, not everybody is in it to make $1 million in a year. I mean,
no, this wouldn't be the industry to do that. Nor would I have left my good job.
I've lost $1 million.
Yeah. Got in it for the headache. That's what.
Phillip got in it for the free vape.
Yeah, I'm interested in putting all my friends' businesses out of business. I accept a certain amount of generosity, but when we get into where they're actually not making a little bit of a profit, I have to.
Yeah, I'm kidding. You know, I'm kidding.
Decline.
But Phillip,
I know you're kidding.
Good job last week.
Fuck with you. I'm sorry?
Good job last week, buddy.
Thank you. What did I do right?
He doesn't remember. He's 7 shots in.
No, I am sober as a goddamn church bell, John.
I'm joining you. You made me grab my wine bottle. So
no, Nick, sir, you and your wife were the first people that I saw when I arrived in DC, and we had only known each other through Facebook, and you were so kind and so thoughtful, and I really will always be grateful to you for that. You have no idea how nice it is to meet someone who you respect their opinions on a social media platform, only to find out that they're even better in real life, and that's a rarity. So thank you, sir.
That's why he's the number one guest.
That made me cry. I forgot my T-shirt, my number one guest T-shirt.
That's right.
You know, that's Jeffrey, right? That was on the show not long ago, right?
Just more.
Yes.
Yeah. Hey, if you want to come on, let
Yeah.
me know. I'll send you the link. You can jump
You
in
want to
there.
jump in, Jeffrey?
Yeah,
We want to
Jeffrey.
hear your pros and cons.
You've got a
Yeah,
lot of good
Bring the
stuff to
pros
say
and
in the
cons.
chat.
I have some. Everybody get out there and do their damn part.
No, Jeff has done some amazing work with his new video series. If you haven't seen it,
That's
really amazing work.
Mm-hmm.
I
Like
have
kind of relights the fire under you when you watch stuff like that.
I know, really. Plus,
Mhm.
he really does give me this incentive to start working out again.
Hey, eventually, I told Nick, eventually, we're all going to be living on the same street. It's going to be Nick, you know, Dimitri, Phil, myself. Paul's going to move there. We're just going to take,
Street USA.
yeah, Vape Street
Vape
USA.
You guys are all welcome to come. We got some good
Where are
stuff
you now,
happening.
Mr. Lee? It looks my mother. It looks a lot like her backyard.
He's at the YMCA right now.
No, it looks like Tampa, but it could be a number of
It's
places.
Florida. All the backyards look like that.
Clearwater.
There's an alligator in
Clearwater.
your pool. There's
I
an
used
alligators.
to love Dunedin is where I used to have the best brunch in the damn world.
I come
Right
to
up the
St. Pete
road.
Beach every year. I'll come visit you.
It's a beautiful area.
All right.
I lived on
Love it there.
what
Jeffrey, I sent it in Facebook. If you want to jump in, it's in your DMs. So if you want to jump in, we'd love to have you be part of the
John's
show.
put into your DMs.
Yeah, what is
Bring
that?
up
I
the ring.
snuck in your DMs, baby. Yeah, you're not Holly Berry, but you know, whatever. Come on, come join us. All right.
Phillip, did you underwear?
Am I wearing underwear? Did I hear that wrong?
I moved to Tampa.
John, I really don't care if you're wearing underwear.
No, I moved to Tampa many years ago to be around my mother for a while. Who she lived in West Chase, I think it was. Very nice area, but not. I think I lived in a place that was sort of. I didn't buy. I lived, I think, at the intersection of West Shore and Gandy, maybe, or something. It was sort of a.
Yeah.
I found a condo there, and it was nice because I just liked to do estuary. My favorite place to fish was out. I would go and hike out into this little place in Oldsmar near the pier, and that's where I caught my first and only snook. And well, I've been congratulating myself ever since. But I really.
Safety Harbor.
What's that?
Safety Harbor.
Hang on, I'll be right back.
But that, that thing.
Allie had to go get a drink. She's like,
I gotta give my dog water.
sure. She saw Phil's drinking, John's drinking.
I have nothing but lemon. Okay, that is alcohol. I'm sorry, I lied. But no, I enjoyed living in Tampa. I wasn't crazy about Tampa. I liked Clearwater and St. Pete and all the places that were not Tampa.
Right.
Yeah. Let's just say Pinellas is where it's at. I had to go back and forth from Fort Myers for work, and that was painful.
All right.
I got a store down there, so I do go there. Inglewood.
There's nothing wrong with it if you have a business there. If you just have to hike down there to, I don't know, hawk some shopping center space. Well, that's no fun. I'm sorry. What were we talking about?
All right, let's get back to vaping. I wouldn't make my friend Paul happy if we didn't talk a little bit about Australia, guys. I think we need to talk a little bit about what's going on over there. And let's start with Nick. Nick, your thoughts.
Cut it off. Burn
what
it.
can you do for Paul? What can you do for Paul and the people of
Go
Australia?
pirate. I told Paul go pirate. There's nothing you can do. I mean,
nothing.
Let's be honest, right? I mean, there comes a time where if you're not out in front of something, you're now chasing it. And the only way to chase it is to let Paul do what he's doing. The black market's going to be out of control. They're not listening. Christ, John, you can't even go in and talk to these people with a lobbyist or nothing. Yeah. They just make the rules and you're shit out of luck. So it kind of sucks, but it's reality. They want to make the rules without hearing from you.
Yeah.
So what do? You're going to get your vape products. Paul and those guys are still going to get what they need. they're still going to get what they need. And did I just lose you guys? No, I
Nope, I can
didn't.
hear you.
Okay. Woo. Okay. Woo, sorry about that. Somebody dialed in my phone, but
Those.
so it's going to be a tough road. But I think if he keeps on the track and minds his P's and Q's and does what he has to do as far as sending the messaging, get some people together, start sending the messaging. I don't know where they are in that. I haven't really spoken to Paul a lot, but he needs to get that group of individuals and just kind of, I don't know what their avenue is. Every time I talk to him, he says, there's no way I can talk to anybody. So I would seek a way to get into that circle and get that messaging in there and let them know that the black market's going to spin out of control. And that's the only way they're going to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just a shit show. I mean, they've gone as far as, I mean, I was reading that article earlier where Dr. Mendelsohn was saying that they've removed doors off the bathrooms and installing vape detectors and going full prescription model now and no flavors. And it's just clearly, I mean, we've heard it from Paul directly, you know, there's a black market there. You get into an Uber and you can buy a disposable. So vaping isn't going to go anywhere. I don't understand. It's like, you know what works when prohibition's not working? More prohibition, but with stricter rules. I just don't understand the logic here. And it's gonna, somebody is gonna end up getting sick, unfortunately, and I don't want that to happen, but you know, the black market's only going to get worse. It's only going to get harder to get stuff to, you know, and that stuff is not going to be stuff that you probably want to be using.
I mean, for me, I look at it on the government side of it, and they're smart because they're selling fear, and fear gets people going and gets them to listen and gets them to pay attention. And I think they're doing the right thing when it comes to selling that fear, because that fear is what's keeping them to continue to. It's just, I know I said it earlier, but I mean, how do people not say, how does the light not go on when you see the push? And to put a prescription model, to ban flavors, to do all these things, and then just simply add a tax to a pack of cigarettes in Australia. I mean, how does that not set off a light bulb over the guy that doesn't vape or doesn't smoke and say, wait a minute here, you know, if you want to save the kids, don't you want to get the main product off the fucking shelves and somehow set up a prescription model for a pack of cigarettes? You know, is that going to deter the smoker? Probably not, because I mean, remember,
the warnings don't deter the smoker, and let's just let the adults do whatever the hell they want.
Yeah, here, I'm going to go back to my early days when I first started. 72 cents a pack. I said to myself, if they get to 80 cents, I'm quitting. John kept buying cigarettes. If they get to $1, I'm fucking quitting. And it got up to $1. Before I quit, they were here in Modesto was, I think right when I quit, they were about $4.25 a pack. So I went from that guy that said if they got to 75 cents, I was quitting, to I was paying almost $5 for a pack of cigarettes. And we seen, Paul talks about it here on the show, but guys are choosing, people, I don't say guys, but people are choosing to go buy a pack of cigarettes other than buying a loaf of bread. I mean, you could do, they're going to continue to keep buying cigarettes. So let's just tax it, but let's get rid of this thing here that's going to help them quit. I mean, I really don't. It's a group of people. Yeah, it's a group of. I mean, the government in Australia, to me, and I'm not saying all Australians here don't, but I feel like the government can come out right now and say 2 + 2 is 15, and everybody in Australia is going to go, "Oh shit, we were wrong the whole time."
No,
not
I'm pretty sure that no one that's watching the show right now is in the Australian government, so I don't think they're offending anyone. But I think everyone is up in arms over this stuff. I mean, I've seen it all over Facebook, all over Twitter. I mean, this is when people start to take notice, when they can't get anything at all. And I mean, it's not going to be cheap to get stuff. It's not cheap to get cigarettes there, but it's not going to be cheap to get stuff off the black market either. This is going to drive the price of those goods up because it's going to be even harder now.
And don't underestimate how much the government of Australia, especially the health minister, et cetera, they're doing a lot of theater over this. They're pushing it hard, which means that on a level, they know that it's not a done deal. More importantly, they know it's a tough sell. They're not all over, every social media platform stating huge wins for public health because they're necessarily celebrating. They're making sure everybody hears them because let's just say that it's not quite. They're selling it, and
They're
that
selling
means
fear, which is smart.
if you have to sell something like that, that means that they know on some level that it's not great policy and people aren't crazy about it. So that's something to be optimistic about at the very least.
Yeah, but when is that non-smoker's light going to go off, Philip? I mean, if they're going to keep continuing to believe what they're selling, then what they're doing is working. Because obviously it is working because everybody in Australia, other than the vapor and the smoker, is like, yeah, come on. I saw it on my Twitter. They erased every comment that came from Australia from my Twitter. Every single one that commented on that post last night has been erased from it. I don't know who erased it, but every single Australian person's comment is gone.
What post was this?
I posted something last night on Twitter. And even Paul's comments is gone.
Yeah.
Even Paul's comment is gone. So every person from us, I wrote, the Australian government is going to spend. Oh no, that's not it. Let me get this straight, Australian government, and stop me if I'm wrong. Vaping contains nicotine and should be banned and requires a prescription, but cigarettes don't. That doesn't sound a bit fishy. How do you sleep at night? And I tagged Mark Butler, and every single Australian comment on that tweet, which were a lot before I went to bed last night, are absolutely all gone.
Yeah. There's only one comment left, right? And it's not.
Yeah.
Yep.
You're talking about everyone who's in favor of vaping?
No. Yeah, that and the guy that was opposed is gone. I can't remember his name. It was Pat something, if I remember correctly.
Anybody else experience this?
I haven't really looked hard enough. I tweet up a lot of shit, so I haven't really.
Yeah, I don't know if that's the Australian government doing that or somebody did that.
I feel your agony.
But every single comment that was made from somebody from Australia, whether it was positive or negative, is gone.
Elon Musk.
Elon said, well, let's welcome Jeffrey to the show. Hey, Jeffrey.
Yeah. I don't know, maybe there is an upside for paying that $8 a month. I just do it because, well, I spell things and miss. Yeah, my grammar is terrible. Your grammar is terrible. Come sit over here with me. I do not speak the King's English with a great deal of proficiency.
Yeah, my Canon camera is going crazy. There you go.
You gotta use Sony,
man. How are you doing, Jeffrey? How are things over there with you?
Struggling, battling, non-stopping, like everybody else, I think. And you know what? That something that you mentioned, the thing that you mentioned about Twitter, remind me of something that happened in 2020. I don't know if you guys remember, but in 2020, we did the World Vape Day campaign, well, one of the campaigns that is around World Vape Day. On that campaign, we have 14.8 billion potential impressions. And we beat the shit out of the WHO World No Tobacco Day campaign. The next year, the WHO did something that I think, based on what I saw about the heat maps where the tweets are coming from, because the majority of the tweets that were made in support of the World No Tobacco Day were coming from the same place in India. And actually, I think that they hired a bot farm to be able to kind of make the impression that there was a lot of people in favor of what they were trying to do.
As far back as I can remember, World Vape Day has trended. It's absolutely destroyed the world, tobacco, whatever. We've been extraordinarily successful in getting that trending, whatever. So you're saying specifically this government did something to filter out the pro tobacco harm reduction engagement?
I cannot say that because obviously I have no knowledge of how many people were actually commenting on John's tweet before, right? Whatsoever. They could be asking, for example, you can actually flag somebody's tweet as a spam or disinformation or
I was gonna say, yeah,
yeah,
somebody could have flagged the comments as health misinformation, and they could have just been removed.
and if you do that, if you do it, one person does it, is not gonna, it's not gonna change the visibility of the tweet or the post or whatever, whatsoever. If you do it 100 times or 200 people, that will make a difference. Actually, Twitter could actually, as a precautionary method or strategy, hide the visibility of those comments to evaluate them if it is disinformation. And that's something that happens, for example, on Instagram. If you flag something as unreal or untruth or disinformation or anything, I don't know how they call it, or spam, I think that they call it. What they do is that they restrict the visibility and the reach of the post or the comment. So
that actually brings up a question I wanted to ask everyone who's on Twitter. Have you noticed that there are certain accounts that you follow who will like a post of yours, and you'll see that like, and it'll be in the number of likes that your tweet has, but you won't actually see that person in the people who've liked your post.
Yeah.
And it's pretty common. Do you think it's important that we let the people that's happening to know about it? Because I don't know if that signals a shadow ban or if that is because it kind of comes and goes, and I'm getting pretty frustrated with it.
Yeah, and I think that we're not going to be able to identify it ourselves. For example, on Instagram, there's a tool that lets you know
I use
how
that.
healthy is your account, right? For example, if you have strikes, if you have anything like that. But on Twitter, there's nothing similar. So what I will advise is that if you're experiencing that with your account, even though that is not,
they are supposed to notify you if someone reports your tweet or
not necessarily. Not necessarily, no. They put you like
free speech. Don't you love it, folks?
Yeah, they actually review the comment, they review the content, but because they cannot say that it's something wrongly done or somebody that is just targeting your account for no reason, just because they don't like the content or what you're tweeting. So they actually have the AI review the content first. If you get a strike, you can actually express your discontent with the strike, and they then actually they do the manual revision, let's say.
I would encourage most people that are on Twitter to, at the very least, use their actual name if they can.
Yeah.
You don't necessarily need to post a picture of yourself with your goddamn dog, but do your best to kind of show the world that you exist. Yeah. Look, it was painful for me. If I did it, anybody can.
Stop using emojis. Stop using cartoon characters.
Yeah, John, you got to cool it with the hashtags, man. I'm losing my mind here, man. One hash per tweet. That's all.
No, that's okay, but
that's how people find it. Yeah.
That's how people find it that are outside our you have to start. I've been preaching this since the beginning with Twitter. You have to start using other hashtags. You have to start looking over at what's happening on Twitter and try to adopt that hashtag within your tweet, and somehow getting someone outside of our community, outside of our circle, to see that tweet and maybe give you a like, but at least they took a few seconds to read your 120 whatever character numbers they allow you these days.
Okay. You actually.
And what I've noticed is anytime I use hashtag government, that one always seems to get a lot more views on my tweets. Whether I start with the U.S. government or whether I start with Australian government, I always use that. I always use words that we use every day. Prescription. Why shouldn't that not be a tweet? Why shouldn't that be a hashtag? I always try to. I know it's hard to read.
I love the spirit, but your FBI file, it's not doing anything for that. But I think actually a good point. Auspol, as in Australian politics, that was actually I think the hashtag that's working because vaping in Australia was trending. So
yeah.
On top of that, I don't know if you know, but guys, on the community guidelines of pretty much every single social media platform, it says pretty much the same, that you cannot encourage use, but you can talk about your use, right? And obviously, and you know that artificial intelligence is bright enough to understand the sentiment of the sentence that you're actually implying, even if it is verbal or written. So it makes better sense for us to speak about our impressions, our opinions, and instead of saying people vape, instead of doing that.
So just to clarify, is this a meta policy? You can't actually talk about. You have to talk about it in the first person.
It's on YouTube. It is on Facebook, Instagram. That we know that both are meta, but they have different community guidelines. And Twitter, I believe, the same shit, because pretty much all of them, they try to not make it a platform to be encouraging behaviors that could be thought as harmful. And
Steve, you're probably right. No. What I was curious to know is I think that the Facebook and Instagram, like I think I've made one Instagram post in the last 20 years. So the my question is, what about saying I vape, you vape, we all vape for to not die? But if you say something along the lines of he, she, they vape, is that a distinction that will get your post flagged?
No. What I'm saying is that you're not encouraging people to use it. For example, I'm not telling you, hey, start.
You should go vape. Yeah.
Start vaping because of no. Actually, you can say I quit smoking. Like 85 million other people have quit smoking through vaping, nicotine vaping devices, and 115 million around the world have quit vaping through safer alternatives and harm reduction products. And that is a statement that is directly talking about your opinion, right? Or
so your story is okay, but you say I quit vaping, I quit smoking with vaping, right. You should start vaping. That crosses the line.
Exactly. That's why I think that it should not be used, because it could flag your account, because you're promoting something that unfortunately it is not a tobacco product, but most social media consider it a tobacco product.
Right.
Calculated risks are important.
It's kind of the same thing as the rules with the FDA. Like you're only allowed to. You're not allowed to.
I was just gonna say.
Feel better. Make me quit smoking. When I used to work in the storefront, I told my story a million times, because that's really all I was allowed to do was tell my story. Or I could, once I was there for all, I could use other customers' stories, or I had a customer that came in and smoked the same cigarettes and she was successful with this, but I can't make any promises or health claims. Right. So that we kind of already conditioned for that, because we can't say anything.
If I could have been paid a couple bucks an hour for every hour I spent in one of the great shops around here talking to people about my story, well, I could have my tequila would be a lot better.
Well, that's a good point. Nick, when you're in the stores, do you involuntary? See, really. I know you're not allowed to say anything, but how great does it feel when there's another customer standing right next to that other customer, and that customer just goes right into it, and you just kind of just get to sit back and just say, yeah.
Hey, I give them free coffee all day, man, to do that.
Allie, it happens in your store a lot.
Coffee, baby.
All the time. Yeah, all the time. Yeah.
Free coffee.
Will come up with somebody who's new and tell them what they should. I like this. You should use this. I haven't smoked in this long, because they're excited about it. They're excited that they're not smoking anymore, because it is exciting.
Actually, that's a good point. What I've learned from talking to people about my experience when just strangers who wander into a vape shop when I'm in there, which I spend a few minutes in a vape shop around here occasionally. It's a good way to judge if you're making sense to people, and you can change the way you present what it is that it did for you differently. Because let's just say, I could see in certain people's eyes when they glazed over that I really wasn't coming across very well. So
people connect with people.
Yeah.
We can show them 100,000. Well, currently there's like 14,000 studies regarding nicotine vaping, and we can show them 500 perhaps, and what they're gonna think, okay, there's studies, but did it work for you? That's what they're gonna do.
Right.
I
How
start
do you
talking
feel?
about
Did you experience
studies.
any of those bad side effects? Yeah, that's how it is. That's one of the main questions I get. Did you ever? Has anything? I'm like, no. I've been vaping all
If
this
I
time.
start talking about
No
biomarkers
issues.
and two-tailed tests, and
My side
whether or not
effects
this
is I can
significant,
breathe.
Right.
people
Right.
will run back out and go buy a pack of Newports. I can't do that. It's important that I not do that.
My side effects is good health.
Right.
Allie, you had an article you wanted to talk about tonight.
Oh yeah. This is let's brighten the mood a little bit here.
Oh,
No,
I'm happy as hell. What's wrong?
So, well, we were just talking about Australia. That's super depressing. So,
Where do I
FDA
find it? Do you want me to put it up on the screen, Allie?
I sent it to you in chat.
Oh,
But I can
okay. Yeah.
send it to you again here in the private chat so you can post it.
Yeah, do it that way so I don't have to scroll through all our stuff that we write in there.
Done. So this article is about the FDA ignoring the science on vapor. So, we love to see headlines like that. The government watchdog group Protect the Public's Trust filed a complaint with the Department of Health and Human Services over what it says are scientific integrity violations involving the impact of vaping. The complaint states that the U.S. FDA is promoting public health messages on vaping that appear to be unsupported by its own research and scientific findings. Protect the Public's Trust stated that the FDA was making scientifically unfounded statements about the vaping industry, contrary to its own research, adding that the agency's own data appeared to contradict the FDA's public stance on vaping products. Let's see. Protect the Public's Trust said that the FDA report found only a subset of many harmful components found in cigarettes and vapes at much lower levels than in cigarettes. The FDA report found that menthol vapes were helping adult smokers quit cigarettes better than fruit flavors, candy flavors, or traditional tobacco flavors. In the complaint, Protect the Public's Trust stated that the former FDA Commissioner Scott Gottlieb presented vaping as comparable to smoking traditional cigarettes because several of the dangerous chemicals in tobacco smoke are also present in the aerosol of some vaping products. But the FDA declared that vaping is not harmless. It carries real risks and safety risks, including addiction and other negative health effects. Many studies suggest e-cigarettes and non-combustible tobacco products may be less harmful than combustible cigarettes. However, there's still not enough evidence to support claims. That old song that we hear all the time. So once again, it appears that the federal public health leadership has chosen to sacrifice scientific integrity and the public's rapidly disappearing trust on the altar of a political and special interest agenda, said Michael Chamberlain, director of Protect the Public's Trust, in an email to Center Square. While we were promised that health officials would follow the science, what we have observed instead is a disturbing trend of ignoring or disregarding scientific research and data that don't fit their particular biases.
How can we trust them on some other areas if we know that they're lying on this one? For example, that's a simpler message, that John was actually saying about it, making it simpler for people to understand what we're trying to accomplish. For example, in Australia, how can we trust Butler if we know that he's deliberately lying about vaping, right? How can we trust the people at the FDA if we know that they're deliberately lying about vaping, right? So I think that's a simpler message. Could be, I don't know, most probably better as you are there, right? But actually, that's something that can resonate with people a little more, right?
I think the presence of every tobacco academics in Australia versus politicians, let's just say that they are overwhelmed with the very loud, very prominent tobacco control, Australian tobacco control establishment, which is something that is, let's just say that it's not necessarily a balanced, it's not a fair fight. They're getting an earful. I have no idea if Mark Butler has a genuine grasp on what it is that he's doing, which is a replay of what Greg Hunt did, only dumber and without any sort of real. It's ridiculous, and it's placing another huge increase taxing cigarettes at a higher rate at the same time. It's very classic, Becky Freeman, Simon Chapman, just god awful stuff. They think, ban it, and our subjects will fall in line, and it's horrible. But I also think that regular everyday Australia, I didn't know who Sandro De Maio was until last year. He wasn't really shouting at the top of his lungs about kids are vaping. That's all they ever say,
because it's simple.
So whatever, Australia is terribly disadvantaged as far as the conversation goes. But my question is, I know we have, legalized Australia. There are, harm reduction groups in Australia, but it also seems like, there are very few. God bless Alex Wodak and Colin Mendelsohn for the amazing job that they do. But let's just say there's an arsenal of people with credentials that are just howling about everything to do with what doesn't matter about adults who could quit smoking this way. And it's very difficult to understand why, but the why is not really important. It's there. What do you do about it?
Yeah.
What do you do about it? That's a big question.
Well, yeah, they're. I mean, I don't know how their system works, but it pretty much sounds like the general public's hands are tied. They don't really got a voice, and it's sad. It's sad that they. I mean, not that we have much of a voice here.
We do comparatively.
Yeah, we do.
We do compared to Australia, but I'm just saying it just for them. It just.
Do you think the history of Australia's role as an English penal colony does bear mentioning here? Because it's a little.
Yeah, to me though, Paul's in the chat. Don't get mad at me, Paul. I'm going to bring up the fact that whoever is on your money there. I just don't understand. Philip's like, what? The queen is on your money there. I just don't understand how. Do they hate the UK that much that they're just going to do the complete opposite of them?
They just love money more.
Really tend to follow more the example of the United States than Europe, actually.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that you guys, you're trying to do everything right, but historically they tend to follow. It's like Latin America. Latin America follow pretty much the example of
right.
US.
Right.
I have not seen one modern. I've not seen any equivalent of what Australia is doing. Not in the, let's just say, the first world order. Okay, you have the UK, you have countries that are anti-tobacco, like Australia. They've literally taken what is a stagnant smoking rate. They've done very little to decrease. And they're banning all the different ways in which it can be decreased because of the most insignificant facts that aren't even really facts. And they're doing it in a way that is, they are imposing their will on the citizens in a way that really is, it's unbelievable. And yeah, it's despicable, really.
Yeah.
But I would like to know if these health ministers are actually aware of anything other than what they hear from the likes of Chapman and
I think they're aware. I think they know exactly what they're doing.
So I guess my question is, how are they still in office if it looks like a lot of the citizens of Australia are not necessarily in favor of these new regulations? It looks like the people that are most fond of these regulations are the people who proposed them in the first place. It seems normal Australians are they're loud, but they're not really. They're not pushing for it, rah. They're just kind of like, yeah, we do what we're told.
Well, I think those people that are non-smokers that are in Australia are starting to realize that you are raising something and taking away the opportunity, making the person decide whether to feed themselves and their family or buy a pack of cigarettes. To me, that's how I look at it. I mean, that's got to, at some point in time, whether you're a smoker or not smoker, you're still thinking to yourself, well, this poor bastard is choosing a fucking pack of cigarettes instead of going and buying a loaf of bread or some food for their family, and they're choosing to go buy cigarettes. This person has a problem. How do we fix this? Is vaping working? I don't understand how that all works. I mean, I really don't.
No, I need to brush up on how the government of Australia rules. It's different.
Yeah, I don't know how.
You've got New South Wales, you've got Canada, you got etc. You have different ministers that represent the different parts of Australia, whatever. But it does seem like there's. It just seems like there's absolutely no continuity, and it seemed like for a while Australia was looking at electing a few officials that might actually undo what Greg Hunt did, and that got dashed in a hurry. I don't know if that was ever a real possibility, but
I mean, like I said, it's not common sense. You have nicotine you want to say nicotine is the problem, but yet you want to continue to keep cigarettes on the market and just simply keep taxing them and take hard-earned money away from people to buy cigarettes, but yet you want to ban something because it has nicotine in it, and you want to set up a prescription model for it, and you want to get rid of flavors for it, and it's
world-class tobacco control, world-leading tobacco control.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, like I say, you don't have to be a fucking scientist. You don't have to be you don't have to go. You didn't have to go to Harvard or Yale or any of these schools to realize something doesn't fit here.
Is someone's cat dying?
That's the exotic zoo that Nick has.
Okay. I forgot we got Florida back there. I had a gator in my hands.
We know the prescription model failed, and I'm going to assume that the general public knows that it failed because there's just this huge fucking black market there in Australia. And to me, and then when you read that the prescription model failed because doctors didn't believe in it. So now you have doctors that are not willing to give someone a prescription for fucking.
They were never
right. They were never going to do it in the first place. That's what I'm saying. I don't understand how people are thinking. Maybe it's just me, but I mean, I look at that. If I'm not a vapor, I'm not a smoker, and I'm just your average Joe, and I see all this shit flying around that's going on in vaping, I got to ask myself, who's profiting from this? And to me, I put my conspiracy hat on. I'm going to assume that the pharmaceutical companies are somehow, some way profiting from this because they want you to buy the Nicorette gum. They want you to buy the patches. They want you to buy, their pills, their psychotic pills that drive you insane. They want to do all these things. But to me, I got to think to myself, if the government has my best interest in my health, why aren't they trying to find out whether vaping is truly good for you or not good for you, instead of just fucking saying, fuck it, let's ban it. There's that a cockadoo. Is that a cockadoo? I don't know.
Actually, John,
here's that noise.
Yeah,
you know what that is? It's a peacock.
It's a peacock.
A peacock?
The peacock.
That's what I don't understand. I mean, John, I'm not pretending I'm the smartest person in the world, but to me, my mind automatically goes to,
oh, baby, please.
Yeah, why are cigarettes still on the shelf? You care so much about the fucking kids.
You know why cigarettes are on the shelf?
I know why they're here. I know why they're here on the shelves here in the U.S.
John,
because we have a deal
big pharma,
with them.
big tobacco.
Australia,
right?
But Australia doesn't have the
big
same
pharma,
deal we do. Yeah,
well, we gave cigarettes indemnity in exchange
here in the U.S. They don't have that same deal in Australia. So that's, to me,
they got a deal.
Understand.
But what
they got a deal.
Just
they got some kind of deal.
Is that the
their deal, their deal is the taxes tax them to death until they stop smoking or quit. But I also think don't ever underestimate the power of the ideologically just the proud ideological tobacco control establishment there. Don't underestimate their need to not be wrong. That is something that you really need to. It's very difficult to understand, and this is something.
No, I understand that. I just don't understand how people don't have common sense. It's just common sense to see that there's an issue here, that they would rather keep cigarettes on the fucking shelf. Now, if more people outside of our community open up and start speaking up and saying what the fuck is going on here, then the politicians' eyes open up. Then they start listening, because now it's not just the vapors, it's not just the smokers, it's voters.
Does it have to do with culture?
It also has
right,
to do
culture
with
has a little bit to do with it, but
socioeconomic status also has a lot to do with it.
I talked about that before on the show, where I've actually had people say, well, if they don't ban vaping and people don't continue buying cigarettes, eventually they're going to come after me some way in taxes. I've had people say that they're like, well, if California loses $7 billion that they're getting from the master settlement agreement, well, the state of California is going to find other ways to tax me to get some of that $7 billion back. That's sad. That's sad that people are actually saying, well, fuck it, let them continue to smoke, because guess what? That means I pay a little bit less every year in taxes for something else.
Well, how they're spending your taxes in California is a little bit ridiculous. I mean, just on administration alone, let's just say, we don't want to even get into it. But what is an easy thing to see is how possessed the people who are against, and more importantly, the academics who speak out against vaping and are full of just colorful new ways to panic everyone. They are doing, not only are they doing what has already been proven to fail again, they're doing it and they're patting themselves on the back while they're doing it. So here's what I have to say: no matter what money is being exchanged, who's getting paid, whatever, these are people who are desperate to be right, and they're not ready to admit failure and rethink the problem. And it's awful, but to me, at least, it looks very much like that's the case, because we all thought that, Greg Hunt's prescription embargo, whatever, was going to fail. It did fail. And then they are doing it again, only worse. And they're saying, hey, we have saved Australia's youth. There's something fundamentally, bizarrely hard to understand about that. Yeah, dissonance doesn't really quite do it justice. Let's just say the denial that's on display here is fascinating and terrifying.
Nick, tell me you're not going to eat the peacock.
Hey, sometimes
it's like chicken.
You can't justify it, Phillip. Stop.
I live in Alabama. I can justify all kinds of things, man.
Hey,
I see things on the road.
A couple of years ago, California finally passed a law. We can eat roadkill now. For a long time, we weren't allowed to eat roadkill.
Let's just say I'm amazed. Greg actually had one fried pickle when we went out to eat here, and I didn't see him eat it. Let's just say when I ordered them, there was a distinct look from him like, what the fuck are those?
I mean, that's not even exotic food. Can you imagine what you would have given him some food that is that's known to be eaten in Alabama?
Well, I am yet to get on the whole. Yeah, there are a lot of things. Let's just say that I will not. I don't even want to talk about chitlins. The fact is, there are a lot of interesting Southern delicacies that I can't really say. I'm not going to speak against, but no, I'm not going to sell it either. But the fried pickle thing seemed to like maybe. They're delicious. Everyone should try them at least once.
I love them. I love them.
And properly done out gator tail just right is amazing.
I look forward to them every year during the state fair here. because that's why I go straight to that booth. I go straight over there and the deep fried cheeseburger. Those are my two things that I want when I go to the State Fair.
Give me a
They-
double heart attack.
They fry a cheeseburger.
Deep fried cheeseburger is friggin' delicious. I have to take some pills before I eat it.
I have a road trip that I desperately need to take. I didn't find anything like that in San Diego.
Real quick, I know we talked about the article, but in your opinion, each one of you, real quickly, I know we kind of brief talked about it a little bit, but what do you think the change? What was the change? What changed that made these vapors ex-smokers become vapors? In your opinion, Allie, what changed in 1 year?
It could have been anything. It could have been, a bad news at a doctor's visit, being told that, you need to find a way to quit, or a friend saying, hey, this worked for me, or, or reading an article somewhere, I mean, it could have been anything, but I mean, whatever it was, I'm glad that it worked.
Let me ask you, and then I'm going to ask Nick the same question because both of you guys are in the store part of it. But when you do have that new vapor come in, do you guys ask them why you're here? What brought you here, I should say?
Yeah, I mean, there's a dialogue. I mean, our staff goes through like an extensive training, so they have like the first few questions they're supposed to ask to kind of qualify somebody for the right product. And that is one of the questions of what brought you in today, or how did you find out about us? Because we like to do, like, we're doing a contest right now for Google reviews, but and I think it's great because I'm collecting all the great ones, because I think that's the best evidence there is I post them on Twitter all the time. I think it's great to see other people's feedback, not just me saying how great it is, but how people that actually shop with us, how they feel. So yeah, we always ask, and typically, I'll be honest, 99% of the time, it's my friend told me about it. My friend told me it worked. Yeah.
So the Google reviews do lead people to your shop, because I've been asked.
Yeah, absolutely. Because if you pull up, if you Google one of our locations, the first thing that pops up is the Google profile and all the reviews for that specific location.
And how about you, Nick? What changed?
First part of the question, I think we're seeing a big change because of generation, right? I'm seeing more and more younger people in our legislative field that are using vapor products. And I think that it's also in the community, right? We're seeing a new group of individuals that have been exposed to the product and the benefits of it, that were, the older people that are smokers are moved on, and the generations that are moving up have been exposed to this product and heard more about the benefits of it. I think that's one point. Second point, in the stores, the Google reviews are huge. We do qualify people. Our employees are always trained to, hey, what brought you in today? What kind of device are you looking for? How many packs do you smoke? What kind do you smoke? So during that process, we find out a lot of things. So yeah, that's.
Are you getting the same as Allie? You're getting the friend sent me here, or my friend suggested this would work?
Yeah, we're getting. Yeah. And we, what's cool is, and I'm sure Allie has a very similar program, is we have a referral program. So we give them cards. They write their name on the back.
Cool.
They pass it out. They get 20% off, and the person that comes in gets 20% off.
Oh, nice.
So when their card gets turned in, they come in 2-3 days later, or a month later, whatever. We got their card on file, and they say, hey, a friend turned in. Can you check and see? And we give them 20% off each time one of those is turned in. So little things like that. We give discounts for Google reviews when we see it. We like, hey, stop in. Thanks for the review. We'll give you 10% off after they write it. Just, the exposure piece and the word of mouth and things like that kind of go a long way. So yeah, referrals is big. And the Google reviews that people see, they'll walk in the store and say, hey, how'd you find out about us? Oh, I saw a Google review when I was looking for vapor. And I see that you guys are, one of the ones here that actually have transitioned people from smoking before. So we want to talk to you about it.
Yeah.
We're actually doing an incentive for the staff right now. You'd be surprised how many Google reviews I've been getting. I have 17 Google review notifications on my phone right now, actually, because we're giving away a TV and some other stuff. But I mean, it's incentive for the staff to kind of talk to them. But it's important for them because a lot of the reviews are saying how educated the staff is and knowledgeable about the products. And I think that goes a long way, especially with a lot of these little shops, the cash grab shops, I call them, popping up everywhere selling, the illicit stuff. That then they don't know anything about the products. I think it goes a long way to get in with somebody these guys over here know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
Right. And they sell these devices, dual battery, monster cloud chucker, 110 watt to a guy who's trying to convert. And then they come in and they're like, I tried it, but they sold me this device.
I would kill those little bastards.
And we convert them.
Yeah, I think that was the thing of the past. I think even I was at the vape shop the other day, and I even shook his hand because a new guy came in, and the guy behind the counter I haven't seen before, but I haven't been in that shop in a while, and I was really proud of him because he didn't try to sell him the 250 watt device with the whatever TR, whatever version they're up to, but he sold him a nice, pod system that he could change the flavors with, showed him, and didn't show him how to do any of that.
Cheers to all the associates
well, that's why we don't
out
do
there
commissions.
I was proud of him because
not what they can sell.
Yeah, right. In the back of my mind, I was like, okay, this guy's going to sell him, whatever Geek Vape has right now that's on their shelf. He's going to sell him a sub-ohm tank. This guy's going to quit in about 3 days.
Our incentives aren't on sales. It's more on conversions, too, getting quitters. So you'll see we'll post people crushing packs of cigarettes. And that's the thing, right? And it's converting people. That's the big thing. It's not, hey, who has the highest sales? How many people did you get to quit today? Yeah. So it's a different mindset than what Ali's talking about, where those cash grab stores are out there.
Yeah. We do incentives, but we don't do commissions because we want them to sell the thing that's going to suit their needs, not the most expensive thing on the shelf.
How about you, Jeffrey? Why, in your opinion, what has changed in the last year to show that increase in vapors and more adults quitting smoking?
I think one of the factors that drive more people to quit smoking, through nicotine vaping devices, is that the person, like it was said remarkably well by Ali and Nick, is that, it is expressed by some of the people that have done it. And I think one of the things that actually makes or resonates more with the people that is going to be quitting using a nicotine vaping device is how easy it was for them, right? Because I think that we all went through a phase when we were smoking that we try to quit smoking a couple times, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, 10 times, perhaps. At least myself, 5, 6, 7 times that I quit it, right? And so to see somebody else,
Jeffrey, I quit every time I put a cigarette out.
Yeah, exactly. That's what's going on. And see somebody else that was able to quit successfully, easy, and pleasurable. I think that drove me. And
you're allowed to say that, pleasurable, yes.
Exactly. And in top of that, a lot of people like myself, we didn't want to quit smoking. I didn't want to. I actually went to a vape shop to dual use. My goal was to be able to use it in places that I was not able to smoke or to smoke less, to be honest. But I didn't plan on quitting. Thus, the accidental quitter that is talked about, there's already a study about it that is really interesting because nobody talks about that. And there's a segment of the population.
I noticed a lot of people in my post, that was their thing. That was the most... Out of everyone that I commented on that post I did about the poll, everyone seemed to keep saying, I accidentally quit it. And I'm like, well, that's fucking great.
Yeah, that's great for you. But let's just say I smoked almost 3 packs a day when, I found that first Ego Tea and the 36 mil from Totally Wicked. And I did not quit accidentally. Wow. That was 14 months of like, let's see what the hell happens, because nobody actually thought it would ever happen, including me. So bravo on not having to try it.
I quit because I was scared of my mother.
but there is a segment of the population that tobacco control cannot reach, that the health departments cannot reach because they don't want to quit. And we know that around 30% of the people that smoke don't have any plans of quitting, right? 70% think of quitting, but from those 70%, only 55 attempt to quit, right? And from those 55, only 5 to 7% is able to quit, right?
And these
So
are the most disadvantaged people in society who engage the least with lawmakers, who get the least amount of information, and whose voices are more or less ignored a lot of the time.
Ignored.
And it's very hard to understand it, or it's barely I can barely think about it. But that's something that I think is very much true in Alabama, and it's something that I hope was remembered. I mentioned that at the Alabama State House last week, and I hope that was something that they didn't take the wrong way, because I was just trying to point out that, almost all of that 17% that still smokes in the state I live in, they are well under the median income, and they aren't engaged, and they need your help.
Yeah. Phillip, before we go, your thoughts. Your opinion on, I'm sorry, your opinion why this is happening now. What changed? Phillip's silent. This is a first.
No, I actually think you've covered it all pretty well. I was actually going to mention something about, I think Allison said something important about the associates and the people who represent, at the store level. If they aren't at the very least versed in the different ways that they are, the enormous opportunity and responsibility of, selling these products in a way that saves lives, if they're not aware of how that is in something they should be proud about, and they should do it with a certain amount of purpose, well, that is something that needs to be, I can't say it enough. And I also think that Colin Mendelssohn's book right here, there's a whole chapter on take-home messages, and how people typically start vaping and stop smoking. Says the most popular start models are similar to cigarettes. And we all know that when I started vaping, was the dual user, the thing that was most effective was that most replicated the sensation of smoking. And definitely not a 200 watt, box mod set up from smoke.
Yeah.
But I think I wanted to say, even though it's being repressed in Australia, I can't say enough about how useful this book is as a resource. Let's just say that it would be wonderful if every vape shop kept one of these in the back, just for reference. That's all.
Right. The only thing I wonder about that change in the number is, I would really love to know how many of those that switched over to vaping were actually new to it. I know that's impossible to find out, but I would love to know that number that weren't vapors, that didn't quit because that didn't quit because they were of a valley or anything, that were just actual new vapors. I would love to know what that number is, because I think that number is really, really important for the growth of this community, because that shows that, I think in a way kind of shows that they're realizing this is a product that works and maybe I should give it a try. I don't know how you would even find that number out, but it would be nice to know if that higher number is due to newer vapors and not just people that have come back. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I think someone said, someone much smarter than me said, if the entirety of the country, and I mean people who don't smoke or vape, started vaping and cigarette smoking was just eliminated tomorrow, that would be a huge net public health gain. True.
Yeah, true.
Public health rhetoric does not reflect this, unfortunately.
Yeah.
It never will.
No,
Well-
it won't. It won't because we're talking about banning Starbucks at the moment. But don't lose heart. Things change. People do wake up and realize, well, this is no goddamn
I hope they
fun.
wake up really soon.
Well, it took how many years for the people in cannabis? 30 years, 40 years?
Marijuana decriminalization, legalization is taking
200
a long
years.
time.
It was a battle for the condoms and sexual reproductive harm reduction health thing. It was, I don't know how many years was that shit.
Yeah.
And Colombia is already talking about cocaine legalization because why not? There already been.
Where is it legal?
They're talking about legalization in Colombia.
Wow.
Trip to Bogota. Got it. Okay, so the point I want to leave everyone with is let's be very discerning about who we engage with. Let's engage with the people who are most willing to listen, who are most willing to make a difference if they do listen. And I have even for Australia, I feel optimistic about the future. Well, not as optimistic about Australia, but I don't think anybody
Why
who
not?
vapes in Australia is going to quit fighting for their
not?
rights. I've never known a more resilient bunch of advocates than the advocates in Australia. How's that?
Hold on a second. All right. Oh well, hey, thank you, thanks Jeffrey for jumping in. It was anytime you want to come on and you're out there, I'll throw it out there. You can jump in, just let me know, and you can jump in whenever. And Phillip next week will try to do his best to be on time.
Once again, I apologize for the suffering I have caused.
Hey, you have a life. That's all. Don't worry about it.
It's one of the
Wait,
universal
are you saying we don't have lives?
Yeah, I don't. This is what I do all day long. Is the universal truth about telling friends and family that you need to be left alone, that you need to block this time out.
Yeah.
You are busy. Invariably, they will call you and need you for something.
Yeah, no. I want to thank Nick for joining us again, and Allie, of course, the awesome, amazing Allison. Allison's everywhere, guys. Allison's doing podcasts everywhere now. She's out here. People are just grabbing you.
If you haven't seen the interview with Dr. Michael Siegel, my
Lord, that's pretty good.
Just let everybody out there know
fantastic.
you can't have her. She can't have her. She's here first. You can't have her.
I'm not going anywhere.
She's
definitely not between 6:30 and 8:30.
Yeah. In between those hours, yeah, she belongs to the Wednesday Night Live show. You guys can do it. Like I said, I think here by summertime she'll be broadcasting poolside.
That'd be great.
With a mojito on the show.
Nothing wrong with that.
I want to thank everybody out there in chat again for joining us. I know it's kind of an odd subject, and I as I talked in the beginning, I hate the fact that we always go negative. I'm not going to pretend like I don't do it. I did it before I even started reading that article. Nick did it. Phillip did it. Everyone did it. And I think sometimes we just got to take some of the positives out of some stories and see how they work for us, and not have someone tell you that's not going to work. Try. That's all I'm saying. Just try to find the positives in things, and don't always think, hey, we're only taking one step forward and always taking two steps back. Let's fucking for once take two steps forward and one step back. It'd be great. So
wait a minute.
Go ahead.
I never said that this is all negative and we shouldn't do anything.
No. I'm saying no.
I don't know what the hell you're talking about.
No. I'm saying we always
get your ass engaged and do something.
Yeah, right.
Win the day, brother.
No,
exactly.
but what I'm saying, I'm not saying.
Win the
that.
day.
I'm just saying
every day.
Yeah. Stay positive and don't always just think that everything is just against us and negative, and not see some positives that are in the stories.
That's
and yeah, I mean, it's just sad that we
can come up with the dead. That's all.
I feel like we're just at the point, like I said before, that we can actually find more cons than positives to find in any story anymore, and that's sad. I think that we need to start looking more. Yeah, more positive sometimes, and just and try to. And I always say, try to think outside the box a little bit. You know, whether it's your Twitter account or your Instagram account or your Facebook post or the people that you bump into on the streets. You know, sell it somehow, some way. Sell it. Be positive about it. That's all. I mean, I know I'm an optimist, and I always think this and this and that. But to me, it's just like if we don't get the general public on our side, the non-smoker, we're never going to win this battle because there's not enough vapors on our side to protect this community and industry if we don't get the outside guy. Because we talked about it's the voter that counts, and then there are more registered voters that are non-smokers than there are smokers that are registered voters. So if we don't get them to step onto our side and see the stupidity that our government and the FDA and these groups are doing to this community industry, we're never going to win this battle. I don't care what we do, we're never going to win this battle. That's all I'm going to say. Anything else you guys want to add before we head on out of here?
Yes.
Get off your asses and do something.
Thank you.
There we go.
Thank you, Nick. Get off your ass and
cranky tweets, as we all know, don't necessarily change the world. And no matter how cranky I might appear sometimes, I'm actually, yes, my optimism is intact, however misplaced sometimes.
Yeah.
So thank you, everyone, for being here. It's good to see you both. And everyone, thanks for watching.
Yeah.
And John?
John's going to finish this bottle of wine because he's cranky right now. So, and I'm going to make some.
John's old phone's ringing.
And I'm going to make some butter garlic pasta, and I'm going to drink the rest of that wine right there, and I'm going to have a good night. That's what I'm going to do.
I think this is a good start, my friend.
That's
Thank you all.
Thank you, everybody.
Yes, thanks,
And we will see everybody. We'll see everybody next week. Same time, 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time.
I will be here on time.
I know.
Or I get a flogging.
If you come on time next week, I will send you a bottle of wine.
Oh.
Damn, that's easy.
All right, guys. We'll see everybody next week.
Showing up late, so I get some wine.
I'd like to hear more about the vintage, but we can talk later.
Oh, the vintage would be good. It will be good. I'm not going to send you a $5 bottle of wine that's going to cost me $20 to send.
Johnny, you come from a refined people. I would
some
never
Boom
expect
Farm.
that.
I'm going to send Phillip some Boom Farms.
I'm not expecting Latash, but I don't imagine you're going to send the T-word either. So yeah.
All right, guys. We'll see everybody next week.
Guys.
Night.
Good night, everyone.